Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, transformative journey in consciousness with community of like-minded people. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist, teacher, and transformation coach. In this live session, we blend the latest in scientific research, the deep wisdom of mindfulness, and the art of fulfilled living. This is, as always, an invitation to have your own direct experience, to rewrite your story, and to emerge on the other side with a renewed sense of purpose and well-being. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm very glad to be here, and I am, as always, very happy to see familiar faces. I want to acknowledge members of my Patreon program. Hello, Seth. Hello, hello, Austin. Hello, Parvane. Hello, Anne. Very good to see you here. Thank you so much for holding the space for this gathering. And I also want to welcome Karen and Anne, just purely based on the icons I'm seeing here, the regulars, and also the first timer. Hello, Greg. Very good to see you here. Oh, hello, Diane, another wonderful patron of mine. Something that came to me very strongly before this weekly meeting. For your benefit, Greg, we gather weekly and have been gathering weekly for quite some time to explore various corners of human consciousness and human experience and see how we can integrate them into our daily experience that very often does not provide opportunity to look at ourselves and look at our collective from the perspective of awareness. We are so very often lost in the nature of the daily experience that we miss something deeper that looks back at us from underneath those mundane daily tasks. And these gathering, the past gatherings and this current gathering of Conscious Living Collective would not be possible if you are not here. And some of you have been coming here for years. I've been facilitating these sessions for years in the hope that this space offers a slightly different perspective to what you see on social media, on the news, what saturates your senses on a daily basis. And I think that acknowledgement right here at the start is very important because it helps us to understand why we are here and why this is important, why we even bother gathering in front of the screens, and why we search for the community of people that dare, and I use this word very carefully, dare, have courage to look at ourselves, our lives, our behaviors, our belief systems in a way that can be so easily missed if we don't look back at the awareness from which everything comes, at the consciousness. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for daring to come into this space where we gather and hopefully discover something about yourself that you can carry forward into the day, into the week, and see for yourself what comes forth. Because even though we gather collectively, your individual experience is unique. It's as unique as your story, as your life. And that's why your contribution is always unique in that sense. And today I have for you a topic that flows out of our recent meeting last week, where we considered balance. But we considered balance in a way that is, quite frankly to me, interesting because for those of you who know me, I'm a scientist, and I tend to intellectualize, and my path often taken is that of the intellect. But our previous session was the path of intuitive sensing. I introduce you to, well, not introduce you, but maybe used the framework of elements, of 4 elements that are so known to your body, which is fire, water, air, and earth. And I ask you to look and have the heartfelt sense and experience the heartfelt sense when I say those words. And again, those words on the intellectual level may only sound like another expression of material world. But that's not why we are here, remember. The Conscious Living Collective is an invitation to allow your intuitive side to look back at your experience. In a sense, I invite you to suppress a bit, particularly now, the intellectual part that it's so good at analyzing and predicting things. And more focus on the heartfelt sense of why we are here, why you came here, why you gathered to experience the same world that you experience on a daily basis, but slightly differently. So, as Carl Jung said, it's not about discovering new horizons, but it's about developing new eyes. So we're simply switching the mode, looking not from purely intellectual perspective to the perspective that we so well known because it speaks to us in the form of thoughts, but feel it. And this is quite frankly a good introduction to our topic today that talks about how to read your energy in order to restore balance. And again, as a scientist, when I speak energy, the famous Einstein equation comes to mind. E, energy, equals mc squared, which is mass and speed of light. Very intellectual, very scientific. But that's not why we are here. We're going underneath, surprisingly, because this is such a profound, in science, this is such a profound equation. But that equation does not include one element that even scientists begin to add to E equals mc squared. Because E equals mc squared on paper, it's surrounded by what? Consciousness. The awareness in which this equation is possible, the energy and the balance of it is possible. Both sides, the left and the right side of the equal sign, is only possible through the lens of consciousness. This is how we're looking, and that's how we're experiencing, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And this is the point of today's session. We're looking with courage and we're looking carefully at the current balance on the sheet of our elements. When I say fire, water, air, earth, how does it feel in a sense? And it may happen, as it happened to me, by the way, that when I say these words, your intellect says, wow, what is this? How unscientific this is. And this is very natural response of your brain, because your brain is, and this is, I want to bring science right here at the start of this session, because your brain is designed to predict and is designed to build a story of that is based on your experience. So your brain, and science is very clear about it, is not designed for accurate self-perception. When you look at yourself and you think, you miss usually a big chunk because your brain is designed for survival, prediction, and efficiency. So what it means in practice is that your nervous system continuously running a predictive model, anticipating what's coming based on your past experience, rather than accurately registering what is actually happening in the present moment. And let me make a reference to something that I'm sure most of you are already familiar with: the AI models, the ChatGPT and Claude and all those large LLMs, which is large language models, that are not discovering anything new. You would think, oh, it's a new brand new idea, artificial intelligence, creating an algorithm inside of a computer that predicts words. This is the best fitting word next and next and next. Two things. First of all LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever you are using, Grok, name it, are not inventing anything new. They are simply designed to predict the next word. And guess what? Your brain has been doing that for millions of years. Has been designed to run your brain, which is part of your nervous system, has been designed to run the predictive model continuously without you even realizing it. In the same way, you don't know what's happened in the background of those AI models. You don't know the code, but you know only the words that popping up, and you trust these words because you think this is something new. Not at all. As we know it, all the AI models, they don't invent. This is not the genuine artificial intelligence. This is simple, predictive, fantastically created predictive mechanism of next word and word after that and word after that. And what we perceive when you have a conversation with those AI models, it sounds so real because it's based on the fundamental principle that you are familiar with when you talk to when you speak, hear that voice in your mind. When you hear those words and they sound so accurate, they sound so true. Why they sound true? Because they are based on your past experience. On your own past experience. Your reference is very strong. Your entire body reacts truthfully to it because you experienced it already. But they are not. In science, again, a scientist, Lisa Feldman Barrett, calls it predictive brain. There's even a name in science for it. So this is not something that I invented. This is something that is well understood and researched. And the predictive brain means that you don't perceive your inner state directly. You construct a best guess based on prior patterns. What does it remind you of? LLMs, AI models, ChatGPT, Claude. That's exactly what they do. It's a predictive model. So when you think about the scientists that have written code to something that we consider life-changing and next step in human evolution, something that will change our lives, we've been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years. Your brain evolved to do it very, very well, and you do it in this very moment when every single time that a thought pops up in your brain, most likely, almost 100%, it's based on your past experience. So what we do today, in order to restore balance, again, in order to read your energy, we are recognizing that fundamental algorithm that your brain is running on, your predictive brain is running on, that is the predictive nature of it. The fact that actually nothing new comes out of your brain, so to speak, because that's not the function of your brain. The function of your brain is survival, prediction, and efficiency, or predict things in an efficient way to assure your survival, to put it in one sentence. And this is the reason why in every session, and this is the message for those of you who are joining for the first time, Greg, I remember you joined for the first time. We not always speak here. We don't always discuss things. We also meditate because this is the motivation and reason and inspiration when we sit back and look at the awareness, which, by the way, is not all the elements that I discussed are come from consciousness, but they are not consciousness. That's why when you witness from the perspective of your consciousness in meditation space, you are able to observe without getting engaged, without predicting next word, without creating, connecting with the next thought. You're sitting back as a witness and observe, which is fundamentally where the balance happens. That's what we discovered and we were practicing last week. I just want to look at who is here today. And do you have any questions or maybe comments about what I just said? Because as always, I want to create a space where you can express yourself and maybe share what's on your mind. As Seth said, I found discussion of the 4 elements to be helpful in my daily practice the last couple of weeks. That's wonderful. I found it useful myself. It's a counter. And maybe this is, thank you for your comment, Seth, because this is another good leeway towards our discussion of balance. Last week, I asked you simply to feel into elements. Today, we are going to go a bit deeper. It's not only about recognizing what's happening, but also having courage and daring to recognize the predictive nature of your brain and your thoughts and look in the mirror with courage, daring, and see what are the imbalances in you. And we're going to put in the framework of the elements, but this can happen only when we recognize that this is going to be difficult purely because of the nature of our brain and how it works, the algorithm that it's so deeply imprinted because evolved of the millions of years. So difficult. And yet, when we do that work, when we look in the mirror, understanding that the qualities that cause imbalance can only be recognized when you sit back and allow it to come to the surface, that's where the magic happens. And that magic happens at the cost of your courage and the cost of my courage. Ardalan. Hello, Ardalan. Does it seem true that present and future quote-unquote negative experiences are then based on past events and prior knowledge? If so, this can help break that negative thought cycle. Well put, Ardalan. Well put. That's exactly what it is. We, in order to break the cycle, that we will attempt, use it as a tool. Having that knowledge, we can put in a practice in just a moment and see how it's going to work for you, how difficult that is. You can break a cycle. You can change something that fundamentally, as the title of our session indicates, will restore the balance where maybe the balance was lacking in the past. Austin, in my field, we often discuss creation and how nothing is quote-unquote new. We have always known these things. This idea of prediction is a wonderful perspective. This is the thing. If you are aware, if you're coming from the deeper perspective of awareness of that mechanism, you can use it to your advantage to restore the balance. When things happen in your life that are not to your liking, they're unpleasant, if you stay within the framework of predictive brain, your nervous system will get aroused. You will feel tension and discomfort and so on and so forth. But if you develop an ability that happens in the meditative space of recognizing that discomfort not as a threat, but as a message, that changes everything. All of the sudden, the challenges that you are facing are used not to destroy the balance that is within you, but to restore it, to improve it, to strengthen it, to build resilience. And this is the power of this collective. I'm not asking you today to go into that place alone. I am saying there are 60 of us here collectively gathering courage to look at it. And that's why you've been coming back, so many of you at least, coming back for so long, because there is a sense of community in which you feel empowered to do things that normally are just too difficult to do. We're using collective courage, collective daring to go sometimes in a place that seems dark. And dark in this scenario is not bad. Dark is simply a place that we didn't shed the light of our awareness yet, because it's too scary. It's too much. But today, in all sessions of Conscious Living Collective, we are more daring because there are 60 of us in this particular case. But sometimes it's over 100 of us. And we keep coming back because, if not intellectually, on some level, we recognize this is where we are the strongest. Not individually, but collectively, by staying uniquely individual. You don't need to give up your individuality and uniqueness in order to do it. You not improve it, but you explore it deeper. This is the paradox I find continuously, where we live in the world of disconnect in spite of so many different ways of the technological connection. Because somehow we figured out on the intellectual level, if I am by myself, nobody can hurt me. Yes, perhaps. But you deprive yourself of the opportunity to learn. And it's very unlikely that you will dare to go into that dark place to shed the light of your awareness, because maybe it's too dark, it's too hard. And you stay in the state of imbalance, because to read that energy means to look at the darkness. Look at the darkness that is not you. It's part of our collective experience. It's a part of the humanity. We are here to experience that, to look at the darkness, metaphorically and sometimes physically. There's a reason why we are afraid physically to walk into the dark place, particularly if we don't know it. To close your eyes and trust that not everything and everyone is here to get us. So, using yet another metaphor, I just want to throw at you a couple of words, and I will wrap them in the framework of elements and see what will come up to you, what will come up for you. And remember that this is not to judge. This is not to criticize yourself, but to allow yourself to go beyond the predictive brain that will create the judgmental thoughts, or would create judgmental thoughts. This is to restore the balance, because we cannot restore what we cannot see. I still have in my mind this And it just came to me, the metaphor of the dark place that we don't dare to look at. We are going to do it today, individually, knowing there's nothing scary there. It's simply a place to be explored, waiting to be explored. Okay. So, the fire element. I'm definitely fire. I said that to you before. Apparently my red beard is expression of that fireness in me, the intellect that sits in the head and just burns. And it seems it wants to be the answer to everything, which is not. That's my imbalance, by the way. And we start here. So what's in the healthy balance? What fire is motivation, purposefulness, warmth, decisiveness, boundaries, able to act from genuine will rather than fear and compulsion. That aliveness that I quite frankly feel now talking to you. There's a sense of direction. That's the fire. So ask yourself how much fire there is in you. How much of those qualities you experience. And now we're going to look at the two opposites. So all the elements, ones in balance, they serve us well. But there are also the elemental qualities that can be in excess, pushing us towards one direction, and in deficiency. And in excess, and simply feel into yourself when I read those words. This is my invitation to you right now. I'll even close your eyes, if you will, and just listen to the words. When fire element is in excess, it feels restless, driven, unable to stop. Anger close to the surface. Jaw holds tension. Sleep is difficult. That's where we have too much fire, when fire is in excess. When we have not enough fire, and fire is in deficiency. Flat, unmotivated, cold, difficult to initiate, a sense of life happening to you rather than through you, low metabolic energy, depression that feels gray rather than sad, difficulty asserting needs or holding boundaries. I want to stop here just for a moment. Has any of you resonated with these words? Has any of you felt something when I read them? Simply give me thumbs up or something. If you dare, by the way. I know I sometimes invite you to say things that you wish to keep private. So only if you dare, give me thumbs up if you felt something when I read this. Thank you, Austin. And remember, this is not a judgment, Ardalan. Thank you. This is not about judgment. This is about you daring to look at the mirror of the darkness that looks back at you. And by looking at it, by inserting the awareness, you bring the light to the darkness. Parvane, Susie, Joanne. Wonderful. Wonderful. The Great Depression as opposed to being sad, an important distinction for me, Seth. So I feel the same way. It really struck me hard when I read this one. Yeah, and have experienced both sides. Yeah, some of those words will struck a chord. I promise that they struck in me, and do not be afraid. This is again not judgment. This is shedding light on the imbalance in order to restore it. Okay. So now, and by the way, we covered that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But the representation and scientific representation of fire is the sympathetic nervous system, particularly when it's under suppressed or it's over. If it's excess, it's overdrive. So fight, flight, and freeze response. And when it's not enough, that's the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system that we feel depressed and depleted and so on and so forth. But okay, let's move to, so we have the fire element, which is usually the head, the intellect, very familiar with it. And now we have the opposite. Not opposite, that's a wrong word. Now we have a balancing element. And balancing element to fire is water. So water in healthy state, in balance, means emotional fluidity, empathy, able to feel deeply without being overwhelmed. It's good to feel. The body feels soft and permeable. Relationships feel nourishing. Rest comes easy. There's an ease with not knowing how it connects with the awareness. So this is in balance. Now, when the water, it's too much water in excess, emotional flooding, feeling that arrive without warning and take over. You feel flooded. Difficulty thinking clearly when emotionally activated. Ooh, that's definitely for me. I'm raising my hand here. When the intellect fires take over, when I feel emotionally activated, the thinking has a difficult time. A tendency to absorb other states. Grief that doesn't move. Psychosomatic sensitivity, which means that body registers every emotional shift. Attachment patterns that pull toward merger or dependency. That's excess of water. Now deficiency. Emotional flatness. Difficulty assessing genuine feelings. The mind is active, but the heart is quiet in the wrong way. Not peaceful, but disconnected. Relational distance. I can relate to that. A sense that meaning has drained out of things. A sense that meaning has drained out of things. The body feels functional, but not alive. And again, I will ask you, when I read these words, did something looked back at you? I once again will use the metaphor of the mirror. When I read those words, has something resonated? Something came back? Has something looked back at you? Austin, functional but not alive. I think this would be a very big hit to everyone in our society who is a high achiever, who derives self-worth from achieving, and it's very goal-oriented. By the way, there's nothing wrong with being goal-oriented as long as it's in balance with other aspects of the self. So we're talking about imbalance. Thank you, Austin, for showing your vulnerability, actually. I understand that you don't want to share what really happened to you in this exercise, and that's absolutely okay. I'll always ask, but I will not push. This is more for you to consider. It's your mirror, and everybody is different. Simply want you to know that you have a support of our community, because I dare say that unlike other places where you go and people look at you and judge you, I really doubt that all 76 of you who came here to judge and to really berate someone for feeling one way or another. This is not what Insight Timer is for. Certainly not Conscious Living Collective. Not my experience over years and years of running these sessions. You only will find acceptance and encouragement. Austin, I see myself passing through these stages with each element, and it's so wonderful. It's a wonderful way of becoming a more engaged observer. Thank you, Austin. We're going to get to that observing part in the meditation part. So the meditation of the session today. Okay, so we have air element. In healthy balance means feel into yourself. Again, feel free to close your eyes and just listen to the words mental clarity, genuine curiosity, the ability to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously. Thought serves feelings and actions rather than replacing them. Communication is honest and precise. There is a lightness to the mind. Ideas move freely. This is the balance. Now, excess. The mind never stops. Hello. Thinking becomes a refuge from feeling. Hello. Excessive analysis, planning, conceptualizing. Often sophisticated and intelligent, but disconnected from the body and from genuine emotion. There you go. I think someone describing me right now. Sleep is disrupted by thought loops. There is often a subtle dissociation, being in the head while life happens elsewhere. Decisions become difficult because every option generates more analysis. How very often I feel the excess of air. And now a deficiency. Difficulty with abstraction, perspective taking or self-reflection, impulsivity, taking actions without adequate thought, concrete, literal processing, difficult seeing one's own patterns. In spiritual life, difficulty integrating experience into understanding. That's when air is in deficiency. And interesting enough, when I read, it's like, no, it's none of me. I'm more of the excess. But remember, neither excess or deficiency are good. The balance, the first part that I read, is important. And in modern science, air is represented by default mode network, right? We spoke about it so many times. That predictive framework in our brain that just puts our past experiences and try to predict the future without ignoring completely what actually happens around us. So anyone? Michelle, Karen, Anne. Okay, I have more responses now. Thank you so much. You will find that we all resonate to some extent with perhaps all of it at some point. And this is the other thing, why there's no need to be afraid of it, because we all experience all of the words I described at some point. It's about looking carefully at it and maybe finding something that is in excess right here, right now. Johan. All right, the last one. We're almost there. So we have Earth that represents the grounding principles. And in healthy balance, that means being present in the body, stable and consistent, able to follow through, complete things, sustained commitment. And definitely the reaction in my stomach right now. The physical body is cared for. There's a sense of solidity, not rigidity, but genuine rootedness. Life has structure without being imprisoned by it. How interesting. That's the earth element in balance. And now, what does it mean to have earth in excess? Heaviness, resistance to change, stubbornness. The body holds tension as chronic muscular armoring. My lower back pain, lower back pain, yeah. That's, I think, the deficiency in the earth. poor physical self-regulation, irregular sleep, inconsistent eating, neglected body. In spiritual practitioners, this often presents as a spiritual bypassing, using transcendent states to avoid incarnating fully. Insight arrive but don't manifest. Vision without follow-through. That's earth when it's deficient. Oh no, I think I'm sorry. There you go. I think I mixed the excess and deficiency. All right, so once again, excess, heaviness, resistance to change, stubbornness, and deficiency, groundlessness, pervasive sense of not quite landing anywhere, difficulty completing things, poor physical self-regulation, irregular sleep, inconsistent eating, neglected body. Parvana is so true. I can't make up my mind what resonates with me. Okay. Thank you, Parvana, for sharing. Thank you for being courageous. I know it's not easy to say that in front of 80 people, but that's where the healing is. Remember, when we admit something, automatically, however difficult it may seem, this is the act of shedding light into the dark place. And that dark place no longer is dark. That's the nature of this exercise. However difficult it may seem, it does as well. So thank you, Parvana, and thank you everyone who really found the courage to bring that up on the public forum. That's wonderful. Yeah, so we have awareness. Awareness is the element, is the last aspect. It's not an element, it's the last aspect from all of the elements come from. But awareness is neither of them. As we said in our previous session, awareness is where balance happens, because awareness is already fulfilled and therefore it's in balance. Nothing is missing there. And this is the part where we jump into meditation. This is the part where we will look at all these elements once again into meditative space. And whatever comes up, we simply will hold it in awareness and observe the transformation, not by trying to change something, simply by looking at it, shedding the light of awareness on everything that we experience. This is the nature of today's practice. Are we okay with that? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to meditate. I will take a sip of water. Thank you, Austin. Joanne. And good. Beautiful. And Parvana, thank you. And Peter Helland, as always, will support us on our journey. Ay. For those of you who are joining for the first time, this is the second part of session of Conscious Living Collective, where we sit in meditation, to which I will guide you, and in which you will have your own unique experience based on what we discussed today. I will switch us to meditation screen, which for those of you who are joining now will indicate that we are here to have our own first-hand experience. life happens to us in a mysterious way. The sum of our experiences do not define who we are. In this very moment, you make a choice how to experience your life. Do all the past events define who you are? Does your job define who you are? The state of your bank account? Your appearance? Your culture? Your religion? Or perhaps in this very moment, there is a witness that can hold it all, this time without judging, and look at everything that happened in your life so far as a part of a greater picture that is still unfolding in front of your eyes. And the only thing that you can do is to allow it. And in this allowing, witnessing and observing, there is balance. Because your awareness, your consciousness that you are, is already fulfilled. Not dependent on the actions that you will take, but it's here and now, always present, always waiting, always patient. So, right here in this very moment, feel into yourself with courage and observe what is hurting, what is tense, what requires your attention in order to be balanced. Do not be afraid to hold this difficult experience in your awareness, because that's how the healing happens. That's how balance is restored. Not through doing, but through being with the experience that can unfold in its own way in this space that we co-create. Sometimes the most difficult thing is not to take actions, but to allow and to let go of control, trusting that there is a greater intelligence, greater forces at work that have been supporting you, supporting your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And by trying to control, you take that help away from yourself. in this moment, here and now. We allow, not because it means that we lose control. We allow because we are not alone. And we always have been taken care of in a way that our intellect cannot possibly understand. And when you finally let go, the balance comes to the surface in a way that you could not imagine, because our imagination is based on the past, not on the truth of the present moment. So right now, I will let you to explore by allowing and letting go of control as I and others hold the space, and I will bring you back when the time is up. And now it is time to look back. Once again at the state of the balance in you. See for yourself if anything shifted. What is your point of view, so to speak? And perhaps it is time to express gratitude for us to have this opportunity to sit back, to allow, to let go of control, and use this as a learning the hours and days to come, that there are different ways of experiencing without so much control, knowing that there's always awareness that supports our actions. And with that, let us end this meditation by simply taking one deep breath in through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And when ready, open your eyes and welcome back. Thank you so much for meditating with me. As always, it's a joy and pleasure and privilege to meditate with you. Thank you for your presence, for your attention, for your courage. And before I let you go, just give me a thumbs up or any form of expression if you felt a shift during this meditation. If you found or felt that something moved for you. You can also, yeah, that's right. I receive a lot of hearts of gratitude, so that will do too. Sol, hello Sol. Anne, Diane. Parvane felt restless and nervous. How interesting. What is the message there? Anne, Eric. And good evening to you, Sol. Diane. Is that excess fire? Parvane asks. Very good question, perhaps. Restlessness is usually, and nervousness is the parasympathetic, it's the sympathetic branch of the nervous system. So that's definitely the fire. Yeah, that's the fire principle at work. Something in balance. How can you pour water on it? What would be the balancing act for you, Parvane? I'll be curious to know. Joanna began to cry, which means emotional release. How wonderful. Susie, calm and inspired and soften. Agora. Thank you. Thank you, Seth. Thank you for being here. And once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank my wonderful members of Patreon program for being here and really holding so strongly this space in which we explore. It could not happen. It would be not the same. The quality of awareness would not be the same without you. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to use this opportunity to invite you to continue our journey. This is neither the beginning or the end. This is continuation of the exploration. So the next one is going to be the same time, the same place next week. And it will be called When Your Emotional and Vital Energy Finally Work Together. So we'll be putting things together. And I would love to share that with you. But I think the easiest way for you to do it, simply go to my profile and go under events. You will see. You can click the attend button and it will remind you when the time is for our next session and another exploration, another meditation, another discussion. So thank you so much, all of you, for your kind support, for your presence, for your sharing your personal journey. And Parvana says, I think I need to listen to the recording and try understand the elements more clearly. For those of you who wish to replay some of all of the sessions of Conscious Living Collective, simply go to my YouTube channel and you can find all of them there. They are being streamed simultaneously as we have this session, and they are available for you at any point. So that's it. Thank you for Parvana. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you so much for your courage to being vulnerable. Such an important and necessary part of rebalancing. You're just shedding the light on your experience by sharing it. So this is it. Thank you again for you being here. I will leave you with Peter Helland and his wonderful music that certainly restores balance in me, and I hope it will help to restore balance in you. I look forward to our next session next week. Until then.